So we have a great show today. We have Chase Heatherly, who's the Chief Revenue Officer of the Post and Courier, and we ask him about all different types of questions. We go from personal life to his bachelor party, which is something I've never seen before, and then we get into what it's like in the newspaper world, the journalism world, and where he sees it going. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Here for the Health of It. I am Dr. Randy here with Dr. Tom, as always, and we have a great show today with Chase Heatherly, who we have known about and heard of, but we had no clue what you do up until about 10 minutes ago.
I don't know what you've heard, but hopefully it's true.
All good things.
Okay.
And so you are the Chief Revenue Officer of the Post and Courier, and also you oversee the King of Columbia, which is their marketing agency.
Yeah, President of King Columbus.
Which
is the marketing agency that the Post and Courier built out in-house. So it's under the Post and Courier umbrella.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does anyone ever call you Mr. President?
No. I'm not really that important.
Okay. And then you've been doing kind of the media world since you've been in Columbia for the last 9 years.
Yeah, pretty much since I graduated college in 2013. I've been in the media world ever since then.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
It all started when I was in college at Anderson University in the upstate. My local newspaper publisher, she and I met. I won an award that the newspaper hosted for like young leaders. As I met her, and she kind of became a mentor to me when I was in college. And so when I graduated, she convinced me to come on in advertising sales for the local newspaper. That's kind of how it all started back in 2013. So I've been in media ever since then.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And where did you go to high school before college? Because I think Anderson it's a Christian college, like a private Christian college, right?
Private liberal arts Christian university, Baptist denomination. I grew up in Williamston, South Carolina, so I went to Palmetto High School. So Anderson's pretty local, lived on campus and stuff, but it was about 20 minutes from home, so not too far. Yeah. So I pretty much lived in the upstate for the most part until moving to Columbia back in 2017.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. And then I've been dying to ask you about your bachelor party, because that's the first time that I kind of like, all of a sudden I was like, he knows everybody and he's everywhere. And you basically just took all the attractive entrepreneurial women from Columbia to have a bachelor party.
All the female power players of Columbia got to go to Miami with me. Yeah, it was really interesting. So my now husband, Michael, and I got engaged back in 2024. I surprised him with tickets to go see Taylor Swift in Paris. And then we went to Italy after that.
Whoa, that's a
get
baller
better
move.
than that.
I know, yeah.
My wife asked me to do that. I couldn't pull it off.
It was, actually what's so funny is you saw her twice in Paris, less than what it cost to see her once in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But, so we ended up getting engaged in Italy on that trip, and then kind of started this whole wedding planning process. And, obviously, I don't know how much you know about like same-sex weddings and wedding planning processes. Probably not much.
We don't know anything.
I didn't either.
We want to know it all.
That was the cool thing. I didn't really know it either, actually. And there was really not a lot of like guidelines out there about how to do it.
Kind of do what you want.
Yeah, we just kind of had to like navigate it all, and so when we decided.
Sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yeah,
you're going through a couple things that I want to know about.
He wants to expand.
Piece by piece. Yeah.
Italy, walk me through the engagement. And did you guys know who was going to propose to who? And did you know it was happening?
So we had not really talked about who would propose to who. I kind of assumed it would be me. I always joke that Michael, my husband, has a hard time choosing a restaurant for dinner. So I think probably planning a proposal probably was better safe left with me. And so, I kind of planned this trip to Paris to see Taylor Swift, and because we're both big Swifties, and then went to Italy, kind of knowing that was the plan. And so had the ring with us, and we went around Italy, several different places for about 2 weeks. But our favorite place is Lake Como in Italy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's up in the northern part of Italy. We've been once before.
I haven't been there, but we went this year. What month were you there?
That was in May.
May. So we went in April. But we went to Florence, we did Rome, and then we kind of did the coast a bit.
What did you think about Rome? What did you think about it?
It sucked.
See, that's what always everyone has said, and I basically got forced into going, and I actually really loved it.
You did?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. But I've heard that from everyone. I've heard like Rome is so overrated. But actually, I kind of enjoyed it.
I was just stressed the whole time about pickpockets.
Yeah, that is, yes.
It felt like there was no plant anywhere, and it felt like the quality of living for most people there was just pretty poor.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting place for sure. So obviously it's a big European.
Sorry
city.
to argue with you
No,
about that.
no, yeah, no. I was just curious what your opinion was because I feel like everyone has mixed opinions on Rome.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Columbia Family Chiropractic, with 3 easy-to-get-to locations, one in Forest Acres, which is by Trader Joe's, one in O'Neill Court by the DMV, and one in the Northeast by Sand Hills. You'll be sure to have somewhere near you. They offer a ton of services from corrective care, on-site digital x-rays, spinal decompression for bulging or herniated discs, dry needling for injuries, pediatric care, and a Class 4 laser. They accept all your major insurances. And if you mention this ad, you'll get a discount on your first appointment. Check out their website at cfc4health.com or Google Columbia Family Chiropractic. That's cfc4 health.com.
But anywho, so Lake Como is our favorite place. We've been once before together. It was definitely our favorite place. And so we went up there, and so I had a photographer lined up, and I proposed in this botanical garden right there on Lake Como. And then the photographer took us out on a boat on the lake afterwards, to take photos and stuff. So it was really kind of picturesque. The other funny thing was that this is when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce started dating. And so she was on her European tour. Obviously, she had just been in Paris, and she was about to go somewhere else. And we find out once we're there that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are also at Lake Como.
Whoa.
And so my Instagram caption was like 2 love stories on Lake Como that weekend. Ours not nearly as important as theirs, but it was kind of cool. They were there somewhere too. I don't know where exactly, but we did find that out once we were there, that they were also vacationing for a long weekend there.
Wow.
I know, pretty crazy.
Okay. So then walk us through the next part. So then you got engaged.
We got engaged, and we've been together several years. And who knew us as a couple versus knew us individually. There was a lot of catching up to do with folks, especially back home. We met at this private liberal arts Christian university, right? And so all of our friends have been incredibly supportive, but had to kind of talk through all that. And so we kind of immediately started this wedding planning process. One of my best friends, Alexandra Woodleaf. Alex Woodleaf is a wedding planner here in Columbia. And so I got told, let's plan a wedding. So it was really great having a good friend of ours be our wedding planner. That really helped the process. And we just had to kind of I just started researching, what does this look like? What are the norms? There's really none, actually, is what we found out. So we kind of just had to make every decision from the ground up. And one of the things that was important to me was bachelor parties. And we do them separately.
Obviously.
We do them separately, and that no one got invited to both. You basically got invited. You were on one side of the wedding or the other, and you couldn't go to both.
Whoa, you have to choose your friend.
Yeah, so we had to it was when you pick kickball team in your elementary school, you pick one at a time. That's kind of how we did it. Who's closer to who? Which girl was closer to each of us. Yeah. So we kind of had our groups. But we actually took all ladies, and it's a lot of women here I'm close to are all, to your point, very active in the community. They don't sit around much, and they stay very busy, and they do really great work in Columbia. And so most of them I've met through being on boards for nonprofits. They're just community events and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I had a really, really good group of people that were by my side on the wedding, and then we did go to Miami for the bachelor party.
And I would imagine, because you had Ashley, KB, Amy Beth,
yeah, do you know all
Kelsey, yeah,
yes.
And they're all pretty organized and with it. It seems like too. So I feel like the whole thing was probably planned to a T. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to do anything. You just had to get your outfit and show up.
They made me take my outfits very seriously. We had, of course, mood boards for every night, so we had to dress a certain theme every night. Ashley, and my childhood friend Kendall is her name. They kind of co-planned it, and Ashley put this unbelievable itinerary deck together. It was 15 slides long. It was she did it in Canva. It was it looked better than a PowerPoint. And basically she had the whole thing reality TV themed, and so we hired a videographer. They basically did confessional videos with us one night, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, Ashley, is a great friend, did a great job planning that. Kelsey Caskey and I actually went to college together. She went to college with Michael and me. And so we've been friends for a long time. Amy Beth and I were part of the group that co-started that launched the Columbia Food and Wine Festival. So I've known her, Sumner, with the executive director of the NIC, known her for the last couple of years on her board. And so it's just we've met all 3 different things, but they're a great group of friends. And they made the whole process so fun. It was really good to have people who just we're just so good at celebrating, you know, because I feel like when you're, you know, trying to, you know, come to terms with, you know, who you are and your relationship and things, sometimes you don't really do the best job celebrating yourself. And so it's just really fortunate and blessed to have some people that celebrated us, you know, through that whole process.
So
they did a great job.
You look like a baller then walking through Miami. Were people confused?
We see a lot of crazy outfits in Miami, but I think some of the ones we had probably were at the top of the list. No, I don't would say everybody was confused. I know Michael, his group went to Palm Springs and like Oddity Bustle, Councilman Bustles was on his.
Oh, how high did he pick Oddity?
Well, he and Oddity have known each other for years. They used to work together.
So he's like, you better not take her first pick.
No, she was actually his matron of honor. Like she was his closest to him in the wedding. Yeah. Okay. And so, you know, they went to Palm Springs, and they got people thought they were a bachelorette trip a couple times. And so that was kind of funny that I kind of clarified. No, it was actually a bachelor party with just a bunch of girls. So that was really fun. But no, we didn't have that in Miami, but we definitely did it right. Ashley and the group really did a great job planning it. And it was just kind of, you know, part of my language, balls to the walls the entire time. Like we had a great time.
Yeah. Nice.
And have you seen the stats going around now about divorce rates and how the highest divorce rate is lesbian women?
I actually have not heard that.
You haven't? So,
no,
so they were going through the highest divorce rate is lesbian women. The second highest divorce rate is heterosexual. Okay. And then the lowest divorce rate is 2 men. And they're basically saying the more women in the relationship, the more likely a divorce is to happen.
That tracks. From thinking about the lesbian friends I have, I can totally see that. I don't know what all kind of drives that, but
and I don't know if the stats are true either. I just kept like being a joke that came up, and then all of a sudden comedians started running with it, and then I heard it 10 times, and it was like, oh, maybe it's true. I don't know.
Well, I think
the more women in the relationship, the more drama.
Yeah, they said like that men have 2 logical arguments, so like they both sound right.
I think about our conversations. at our house. I'm not sure it's always logical, but yeah, I mean maybe. Pretty funny. Yeah, I think obviously, you know, maybe women are female couples are maybe quicker to get married than male couples. I think maybe. So you know, we've been together for over 10 years before we even thought about getting married.
Oh,
it was never really that important to us until later on. You know, but really we originally never planned on being married. So maybe that's part of it is maybe just less people jumping into marriages. I don't know.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
So how was Michael's bachelor party anywhere near like Palm Springs, but was it as cool as yours?
Yeah, they did a great job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his was first, and then mine was a couple weeks later. They did a great job. You know, it was funny how, you know, the different groups will kind of put together different itineraries. His was fun and a great time. Mine was a little more a little showier, which I think if you know Ashley and Kelsey and them and KB, you probably would understand that, and that would make more sense. But they both, all the groups did a great job. You know, it's funny, like, even in like a same-sex relationship, sometimes because you're still the same gender, I think it's sometimes like a competition. So I think, you know, it actually kind of became a competition between Michael and me in the groups. But really, there was like no winner because both the parties were really great. They really were. I don't know that we'll ever go on trips that fun again. Maybe we'll see. They were good. They were a good time. I do think they drank more than we did. I think surprisingly, I think their group actually consumed more alcohol.
Yeah.
Per day than we did, actually, surprisingly.
What are your guys' go-to drinks? Like, what's your go-to drink and what's Michael's?
Yeah, so everyone who knows me knows I'm a Bloody Mary, like, aficionado.
Morning or, like, throughout the day?
Like, I will order, I mean,
anytime.
Definitely during the day, obviously, but, like, I haven't been known to order them in the evenings. In fact, yeah, the funniest thing was one time we were out for drinks at Liberty Tap Room in the Vista. This was before it closed and rebranded to the taco place it is now. But it was like 10 p.m. and I ordered a Bloody Mary, and the waiter looked at me kind of like, okay. So he does it, whatever. I drink it, and he's going to ask him for refills. And he looks at me and he's like, "Sir, do you want another breakfast cocktail?" And I was like, I just didn't need that shade, honestly. Thank you for the judgment. Thank you for the judgment. No, so I would say, you know, Bloody Mary for me, both big and espresso martinis.
Yeah.
Michael has gotten like very much Michael's trying to get more into like martinis, and I like them okay, but it's just, I don't know, it's a little bit too much for me. And I love sour craft beers. I'm a big sour beer guy, actually. Yeah. Yeah. It's like Wicked Weed Brewing out of Asheville and some of those. I really enjoy. Columbia Craft, I think, obviously has great sour beers, so on and so forth.
What do you think Tom's drink of choice is? Just
I don't know. If,
Just
oh, wait,
knowing
I
them for a
think
few
I know.
minutes.
I feel like I just need to know you guys more than just like 15 minutes to make this judgment. But
What's like a really cool drink, but not too masculine?
not too masculine to go with your lavender hoodie. Let me think about that. What can I see you drinking? I can see you do like a tequila soda.
Yes.
that-
Tequila
is that
soda
good? Is that
lime.
good?
Yeah.
That is, I would have said
With salt.
spicy margarita probably.
Yeah.
I'll throw. I mean, if they do like the tahini rim.
Yes. Well, tahini on anything is good. Like
Yeah.
my snack of choice is like guac with tahini in it. You
Yes.
ever had that? It's amazing.
I started adding it to a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Just this past year.
And I would say the other thing is, the other thing that's pretty unique about me drink wise is I love mezcal. I know that's kind of like
Yeah.
people either love it or hate it, but I actually
Smoky.
really enjoy mezcal a lot. Yeah.
I don't even know what to.
It's like a
what is it?
smoky tequila.
Tahini? No,
Yeah.
tahini.
Oh, tahini. It's like the
tahini
orange
is-
salty-ish.
It's kind of like sugar and
Not
salt.
sugar though.
That's, yes. I don't know how you
It's almost like cayenne pepper and salt
Yeah.
kind of blend.
It kind of has the texture of like,
Yeah.
like salt, but it's definitely like, like have a little bit of a kick to it.
Yeah.
It's good though. Yeah. I mean, on drinks or I do it in guacamole, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
oh, yeah.
And you like it on the rim of your cup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
I mean, like he's saying, you throw it in guac. I've been throwing on more stuff. What did I just put it in? I put it in egg salad.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Dynamite.
I should try that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, I've never had anything. I mean, it's just a good addition to everything.
Yep.
So you should try it.
Kaylee has a bottle in her purse. Like she keeps it on her at all times.
Really?
Like when she goes to restaurants, she
just puts it on stuff.
Yep.
It's good. So
Okay.
taught you something today.
Learn something
You're
new.
welcome. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk Post and Courier.
Yeah.
So are there still hard newspaper? Like it's being printed.
Yes, it is.
At what level? Like I'm sure over the years you've seen it. Just is it still popping or is it decreasing?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I think people, it's so interesting when I graduated college and like I mentioned that publisher of my hometown newspaper who was a big fan, a mentor of mine said, you want to come sell for us? I literally said, sell what? I mean, I was a news guy. Like I loved reading articles. I was like a subscriber digitally, but I didn't even know what a newspaper person even sold. Like, are you selling newspapers? And it was actually the advertising. I didn't even think about that, So I think the everyday person doesn't really understand how the news media business really works. And there are a couple of good shows out there that I recommend that I think kind of help people understand it a little bit better. But I would say that, print is still a piece of what we do, right? It's still important. I think a lot of the larger newspaper company conglomerates, the publicly traded companies, I think that they recognize, as we all do, that digital is the future. And so as part of that, they've thrown all their energy into their digital products. And I think that has actually sped up print's decline. I really think that we kind of shot our own selves in the foot as an industry. And so I think with print, our kind of mindset on it is, that the audience is a smaller portion of our audience than ever before. It's going to, when you look at our audience overall, is a smaller sliver of the pie.
Yeah.
But it is an extremely loyal audience that is willing to pay for the content and responds to advertising. And so we feel like we need to maintain print for as long as we can.
Yeah.
Question is it the right formatting, that kind of stuff, while investing in the digital side of the business.
Right.
And that's both on like the news content side and on the advertising side. So it's very interesting. I think that, print for us is still very profitable. And I think the number is, 65% of our revenue as a company is still coming from the print product. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, and so most companies are higher than that on terms of digital. They're 75% digital revenue. But the question is that digital growth or is that the print revenue just falling off a cliff?
Right.
So we're trying to maintain print revenue, but then invest in the digital side of the business. I think that we Post and Courier, I'm not sure if you guys have kind of kept up, but Post and Courier, we decided 5 years ago that we wanted to expand statewide. We wanted to become South Carolina's source of local news versus just Charleston's, which is where, the Post and Courier originates. And we're really able to do that because of we're very fortunate to be privately owned by, ownership that just really believes in journalism and the importance of it. And so you go into these markets across the state where the existing newspaper has scaled back resources so much from like a cost cutting standpoint. We've gone in and tried to fill the gap. And so in those markets, actually, we've added print products. Now, they're not your typical, home delivery, throw it in your driveway 7 days a week kind of thing. We feel like that model is not, it doesn't have the audience, it doesn't have the traction anymore.
Right.
But we'll do like monthly print products or twice a month, just for people who still enjoy consuming news that way. Knowing that obviously the majority of our audience is going to be newsletters, website, social, that kind of stuff.
I love print. I'm not. My agendas, like everything, I can't move to the full digital space.
Yep.
But I'm not a. I don't love reading.
I don't love
I
reading
like
recreationally.
feeling it and flipping through it.
Yes.
You know.
I'm personally very much like a mission-oriented reader. I want to go read when I need something. I want to
Yes.
find something. I'm not just going to casually just read
Yes.
a novel much. I need to more. But I think, that's a good point. I think that because rarely in the future are people going to get news for the first time from print products.
Right.
You're just not going to, because it is in your face so many different ways where you even see that print product in a coffee shop or wherever you find it. So I think that reading a print product like a newspaper will need to feel more like a magazine. It'll be more experiential. It need to be almost more of a status thing or like an experience, very visual, because I don't think it's going to be where people go to learn things as much as they used to.
Who's like when you guys run numbers? What's the demographic? Like, who's your avatar that you base printing around?
Yeah, it depends on the type of market, and the type of newspaper. Those that are still like paid. We delivered them to your home 5 days a week, 7 days a week.
So, are there a newspaper delivery boys still or girls?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Mostly they're not young anymore now. They're older, but
Yeah.
there are. And so, I think Charleston, the Post and Courier in Charleston, I would say has around 20,000 households that still pay for that printed product 5 days a week.
That's awesome.
I didn't know the exact number. I would say it's around 20,000 households, which is much smaller than it used to be, but it's still a decent number of
Still
people.
a lot.
Yeah. So, again, it's still a big operation for us. And, I think that audience, those that are paying for it to be home delivered, mostly
50,
60s up.
yeah.
But then like the free times, for example, here in Columbia,
Yeah.
right? It's a free product. It's more arts, food, entertainment focused. That audience, I think, it's really across the gamuts. But when you look at the averages, in your 40s, probably low 50s on the average, but you've got college kids reading it, you've got retirees reading it. So it's just, those free products that you pick up in grocery stores or coffee shops or wherever, that those, I think, have a wider range of readership and age. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a lot of mistrust, I think, in the last 10 years of the news in general. And I went basically full boycott of it. Yeah. And I would try to go directly to the source if I needed to know something. So, for example, if there's a mayor race in Columbia, I don't necessarily know what newspapers are going to give me like just the facts versus like their spin on it. Like I don't necessarily want to know who's writing its opinion of how it went down. I just want to know like what happened, who won, by how much, that sort of scenario. And I've had a hard time navigating that.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on reading that? Because it's almost more work to get news because you have to look at one side and the other side and then the middle and try to put all the facts together and then come to your own conclusion about what actually happened.
Yeah, it really is. It really is interesting. I think that there is more information being thrown at people now than ever before. Social media just exponentially, sped that up. Now it's very much there's a couple of things happening, I feel like. One is that people are starting to understand that some portion of the media are going to present facts, but in a position in a certain way, right? Trying to either tailor to their audience or drive their audience in a direction. I think that the other part of it is, of course, that there is a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot that's being consumed, a lot of information out there that is clickbait and or just like user-generated content that people are just putting out on social that you don't know if it's true or not. And AI has really made that even more complicated. Yep. Like with image creation and those sorts of things, now, fake information, false information can look more authentic. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really hard. I think that's why really it's, local media is more important than ever.
Yep.
I think that, I would be lying if I say, I think there's some national media that has an angle on things on both sides. I think for the most part, local media doesn't necessarily need to have that. There's not the benefit for them to have an angle, and mostly we're reporting on local issues that are kind of nonpartisan or reporting on state issues. It's not quite just that same political kind of driving motivation. And so, of course, we're always going to get told, accused of being on one side or the other, and we can put out one story and one side tell us we're leaning one way and the other side tells us we're leaning the opposite way, right? It's just how it
Right.
goes.
Yeah, if you're getting criticism from both sides, that's usually a good sign that it was
Yes.
somewhere where it.
Yeah, if you
Should have
just pissed off everybody, then you probably did your job right.
That's how I feel too.
No, I'm just kidding. But I think that's why local news is more important than ever. I just think people are fatigued by the amount of information and navigating through. Is it true? Is it not? And I think there's just some people that just, perception is reality. Like they're going to consume whatever content that's been tailored to them in the algorithm that the algorithm thinks they're going to find truthful and valuable, and that's what they're going to go with. And so it's just for me, it's just these sides maybe that are so their algorithms are so aligned with the political spectrum that they're in. It's just how are you going to reach them with like very non-biased news?
Yes.
So it's an interesting time, and AI is going to make it more challenging for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see more? Are journalists, I'm guessing, fighting the AI writing articles for them method, right? Or are there some that are like, I'm all into this because I can just prompt it and go?
Yeah. So, journalists are trained to question things. And so it is often hard to gain their trust, and rightfully so, right? That they are there to hold, those in power accountable, the system accountable, right? Whether that is public or private. And so they're always going to question things, right? They're always going to come at from that angle. And so I think that, there are a lot of valid questions around AI and how does it impact the journalism news world, just like it impacts every business, right?
Yeah.
Every industry. I think that, most media companies have come up with AI policies around how does their content impacted by AI or lack thereof. We have a policy really that is a very comprehensive policy, but it kind of levels out to basically be that all of our journalism is going to be done by live reporters.
Really?
Yeah. Now, there are a lot of ways that the reporters can leverage AI.
Yeah.
Kind of getting some initial research and kind of putting stuff together. Yeah. Sorry, I've scooted back a little bit. And so I think there's a lot of ways that AI can help them be more efficient and pull together materials for a story. But for the most part, really comprehensively on the news side, we're not leaning on AI to produce content, which just because we feel like it just goes down a rabbit hole that I don't think we really are going yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys have sources? Like,
Yeah.
is that still like a thing?
yeah.
And you guys keep those secret?
Anonymous, yeah.
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 Or anonymous?
Yeah.
Unless
Unless it's on the record and we can quote them in an article. Yeah. If it's not on the record, then we keep it anonymous.
Like, what does a person like that do? Like, what is their day like? A source? Are they just out there? Like, I imagine like rummaging through garbage and reading people's stuff.
No, it's really not as complicated as it seems, I think. And I'm not really on the journalism side. So I think that some of this stuff, I think you could get probably more cooler answers from an editor than you can. I'm more on the business side of the company. But, I would say that there's really not as much mystery behind it as you think. Just like every business, it's all about relationships.
Yeah.
And so it's just who in that space have you built a relationship with as a journalist that you feel like is knowledgeable about a certain subject,
right?
And is willing to talk with you and give you some guidance on the record or off the record, right? And so I think it's just about kind of who do you know and who's knowledgeable enough to help you put together the best informed story there is, right? Whether it's on the record or off. And so it's really not that mysterious. They're just everyday people. They're typically in the space working or in the space that you're talking about. Sometimes they're just kind of the random call-ins, the tips we get, that are maybe a little more kind of like come from the community, so to speak.
Yeah.
We have those too, but a lot of times the sources that we reach out to are more knowledgeable in the subject.
Is there a tip line like people could call in?
Yeah, there's email addresses, and you can call our news team and leave tips.
Just put stuff in there.
Yeah,
nice.
Absolutely. Our reporters will meet with people that are interested in sharing news tips, or we'll get packets in the mail of things people want us to read and go through. So it's still a fun time. That's not my side of the business at all, but they have a really fun job. They have a very important job and a challenging job, but I think in moments like that, it's exciting.
Right.
Breaking big stories is just, it's really kind of, it's important, but it also, I think for the news team, it's something to be really proud of when you can do it and do it right.
What's the wildest tip you can remember?
Oh my gosh.
So-and-so sleeping with.
See, I'm not even gonna know all the tips they got.
I don't know why.
And we're not really gonna cover like salacious things, like sensational things like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I mean, just like the most recent thing was us breaking yesterday that New Brooklyn Tavern has been operating without a liquor license, like the right permitting to be able to serve liquor. That was quite a whirlwind of a story that our Free Times team broke, and it's all, social media engagement on both sides has just been crazy.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know if that came from a tip or not, but that was a pretty big story. I'm trying to think about over the years, all the different tips that would have come in. Most I probably didn't even come across my desk. But we get a lot of tips around elected officials. That's probably the most important part of our job is holding elected officials accountable. And one of the things we're most proud of is our recent coverage of the Spartanburg County, the former Spartanburg County Sheriff.
Yeah.
We were able to expose a lot of the kind of improper conduct he did while he was in office. And so that's just not a local example, but it's been pretty good reporting.
Who decide so is the edit? I guess there's a chief editor that decides what makes it in.
Yeah, there are editors that work with the reporters, coach them. They brainstorm story ideas, and they're kind of editing it, seeing where's opportunity to kind of button the story up, where's an angle that we need to go chase down to add into it. So all the reporters report up to editors who kind of are the strategic and kind of that second pair of eyes.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
because if I put it through in an anonymous tip about Randy, if I'm just really, and I get a bunch of people to try to get him in there. Mm-hmm. Is that something that maybe would hit the news, like local podcasters doing sketchy shit?
Possibly. It kind of depends, obviously. It depends on what the sketchy shit is.
Can't even imagine what kind of tip you would.
Yeah, we'd have to investigate it to make sure it's not, if there's some validity to it. It kind of
he wears brown with black. He clashes his clothes so bad.
Yeah, it's really it's not gonna be a lot of personal stuff. It's gonna be more about businesses that have acted improperly or big business changes to businesses.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff about, like I said, about elected officials and government, politicians. I think all that stuff is stuff that we cover quite a bit. Education, we need to be a good watchdog in education, make sure that school boards are, really leading the school systems correctly. So there's a lot of that. The average everyday Joe, though, getting a tip about them pulling some bullshit, maybe we cover it. Yeah, it kind of depends on if that person's kind of, well known. And I think, if it's a story people care about because that person's recognizable.
Yeah, he placed third place in social media influencer, what was that, 2023?
Yeah, 2024, I think.
24.
And Best of Columbia. And then, of course, obviously winning Best Local Podcast.
Yep. That's
so definitely name people
in a
recognize.
row.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chase, would you say we're the hottest thing going in the podcast space right now?
Locally?
I mean, there's only one answer, and you're taking way too long for
I hate to piss off the other podcasters. No, I think that this podcast has a really good reputation and a good readership. I was excited to be asked to be on it. It's a fun podcast.
The mayor. I think I'll give the mayor a close second.
Yes,
maybe third.
I did get to do the mayor's podcast last year, and that was a lot of fun. He was a fun to talk to and spend time with. But I think that you guys have a really good following, so it's something to be proud of.
We keep telling the mayor no when he wants to come on our show.
It's just, it's like, who's going to host too?
Yeah,
you need him. I think you need him.
We don't want it to be weird,
Well, if you couldn't get him done in the election process, I mean, that's been the best time to get him. He's he's out there campaigning.
Right. Good point.
You just missed it.
Yeah. All right. So, getting a newspaper or getting a story in the newspaper, is there a process? Say there was something that we wanted to share that's big news, or we think it's big news.
Yeah.
Could it be paid to be in? Could it be?
Yes, we do what we call branded content, sponsored content, where, if a business is willing to pay to have, a story written about something they care about or feel like, our readers would enjoy learning, but maybe it's not going to fall really in the areas that we cover from an editorial standpoint. Yes, you can. Well, you can. It is a paid service, and we commission a freelance writer who, does the homework like any other journalist would. They do the homework. They interview the point of contact. All with the business, you come in and interview you guys, produce a story, you'd have control over it. So you would be able to review the draft of it and say, this is the angle, this is the information I wanted shared. Usually it's educational, right? It's it's a business offering a new service or something like that they feel like readers will want to learn about, that you can't just learn through it like a basic ad of some sort, right? And so you can definitely do that. And we do run it. We, of course, label it as sponsored so that readers, have a very clear idea of what's our news team versus what content's paid for in there. But yeah, we definitely do a lot of that.
Nice. And then do you guys, or do you oversee, so you're overseeing all the revenue side of things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How big's your team? Like who's underneath you?
Yeah, when you look at like our advertising division of our company, which is going to include everything from our graphic design team to salespeople, advertising salespeople to our agency, it's around 85, 90 staff full time across the state. Yeah. In Columbia, I would say that's around 10 of our staff in the Columbia office. Yeah. I spend most of my time with the agency and, of course, with some of the newer markets that we have expanded into. That's where I spend most of my time. But yeah, I would say that our company is around 350 all in across the state, and I would say about 90 of those are advertising revenue staff.
And is your day mostly meetings, or what does like a day look like for your Zooms and or in-person travel?
Internal meetings and a lot of client-facing meetings, pitches, discovery meetings, reporting calls for current clients. I'm on our leadership team, so like things like we're in the middle of budgeting, so working very heavily on that. So some of that kind of leadership stuff. I still stay involved in Columbia Food and Wine Festival. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I helped co-found and just love that event. So I've been involved in that. And so, it kind of varies. I do travel a decent amount to our other markets. I actually just came from Rock Hill this morning. We had an event in Rock Hill last night, which was fun. It was like their best of Columbia, their version of that event was last night in Rock Hill, their first one they ever did. And so, I'll travel around a little bit, but for the most part, client meetings or internal meetings. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Rock Hill is just moving into South Carolina big time. Charlotte's basically moving into South Carolina.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've not spent a ton of time in Rock Hill until we launched our expansion into that market, York County, in the beginning of this year. And it is a great space. And I think just, you're going to see more and more private sector investment on this side of that line and more movement because living is more affordable. I think, and it's more space for development and private sector growth and tax stuff, all that kind of stuff that I don't really understand fully. So I think you're going to see a lot of that just explode on the back of Charlotte.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in your space, are you guys put out social media content and have probably a division of that. Do you have businesses that pay to advertise there? How do you get sponsors for that side of things?
Yeah, so social for us is really a channel to drive digital readership. So we're putting out content on social media, trying to get people to go back to our website to read that content. And so advertisers can pay to like a handshake kind of post with us on social, which is great. But we're not trying to necessarily pay for social content. It's social is more of an avenue to reach readers for us, just like newsletters or any of your like other mass marketing efforts, try to get people back to our website, which is the ultimate goal is to get them to subscribe, to be a digital subscriber on postingcourier.com. So, but we definitely have advertising opportunities there for sure. Our newsletters, anywhere that we are trying to reach readers and have audiences, we'll let advertisers buy into it.
Is that most of like feeder? So your main products are digital, somebody purchasing a subscription digitally, and then you have the print side of it. Are those the two main products that you guys offer?
Yeah, for the audience, for general B2C, our consumers. Yeah, we want them to subscribe either digitally or print and digital.
Gotcha.
You can do the combo there. And depending on what market, some of our markets, the print product's free. You don't have to subscribe to it. We just want you to subscribe digitally. You can subscribe to our newsletters, but of course that's, there's no charge in that. And then of course on the advertising side, we have tons of opportunities, right? You mentioned social, like we do a lot of with the agency with King and Columbus is we do paid social marketing for our clients using their platforms, right? So it's not about our audience, it's about, driving their growth on social through paid advertising and stuff. So we'll do a lot of stuff like that for our agency, and what we offer advertisers is much wider than, more different areas of things we offer that makes the advertising side a little more nuanced, and that there's a lot to remember and a lot to learn.
Yeah. Have you guys done anything with influencers, like to drive readership or people back to the your website?
Yeah, a little bit. I think that the influencer movement is fairly not new, but I think that we've kind of not yet figured out how to connect it to journalism. We use influencer partnerships a lot for our events that we host, like Columbia Food and Wine, Steeplechase of Charleston. So we will do a lot there. We'll have influencers often, produce content for us as freelancers. But in terms of promoting our news content, I don't think we've really cracked the nut on that yet. Yeah. It definitely is something we need to look at for sure.
Throughout the year, what are the big events that the Post and Courier is behind or puts on?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously here in Columbia, everybody's going to the Columbia Food and Wine Festival. And then, of course, Steeplechase of Charleston, which is this coming Sunday, I believe.
What is that?
It's it's the highest. Steeplechase is like a type of a competitive horse race, So it's been going on for a long time, and we purchased that event several years ago. So it's it's a series of horse trials, horse races, but people go tailgate at it like it's
Like the football
yeah.
game.
Have you ever heard like Carolina Cup? It's kind of similar
Yeah.
to that. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
So racing horses or riding?
It's
No
racing.
riding.
Well, they're riders that race the horses.
yeah, like the jock, but it's
Yeah,
not
jockeys,
like
yeah,
jumping.
jockeys.
It's not like a rodeo.
There's some jumps, I think, if I remember correctly. But no, it's not as many maneuvers as some of the other types of horse racing.
Okay.
And so we have that, and then just all of our best of events, like Best of Columbia Party here. Did you guys go? Did you guys go this year?
Oh yeah.
To the Y2K. What were your outfits? What did you look like? What were you just as?
What was that?
Yeah. I was told that I looked like Eminem, but I kind of had like the emo look with like the shirt. I'd been really wanting to wear a long sleeve shirt underneath of a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I just kept telling my wife, like, I want to do this more. And then the Y2K thing came out, and I was like, this is perfect. And I kind of got my fix that night. Now I'm good.
That's awesome.
I was Tom from MySpace.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So
First
just like you just wore the white t-shirt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm about to say you have a hat on right now. Short dark hair. You probably were ready for it.
I printed off his like profile and put it on the t-shirt too.
That's amazing. So I kind of try to go as like the Nick Carter from like Backstreet Boys Millennium album, which actually was the first concert I ever saw in person. Was the Backstreet Boys Millennium tour in like
Really?
1999, 2000. Yeah.
And Nick was your favorite?
I mean, I don't really have a favorite, I think, but I just kind of committed that look, and so I wore all white, and I actually had like a professional hairstylist like highlight my hair. Yes, like so I had like blonde highlights for that party. Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
I saw a couple photos of that. It was dynamite.
Yeah, it was really fun. The crazy thing was I had a funeral the next day, and then I left to speak at a conference the following day
With highlights.
I had to figure out how to get the highlights out of my hair. So I went to Chicago for this conference with a bad haircut and like dyed hair from like a CVS, hair coloring box. So I just could not bring myself to go present at this professional conference with like blonde frosted tips.
Do you think it'll come back? Frosted
I think
tips?
it has kind of come back.
Yeah.
I really think
You
it
should
has.
start doing yours right.
I've been thinking about it.
Let's get some highlights in there.
I actually liked it. Like if I had not had that, I would have probably just kept it for a while because I actually really did like it. I used to have highlights back when I was a teenager too.
That's great.
I wasn't as I've never really been cool, but I definitely wasn't cool doing it. But now I feel like it's kind of a thing. People are doing it again.
Is that always been your haircut, or what kind of hairstyles you've been through?
I've had this one for a while, and I've tried different iterations. My hair's just so thick, it just doesn't really cooperate much. But back in like high school, I kind of had the emo thing going on. Like,
yeah,
like
little
I
swoop.
had a swoop down here, but
Yeah.
Normally would like curve, and my bangs would spin and curve. So I actually
out or sideways.
like kind of out. So I actually would use my mom's like hair flat iron to like flatten it back down so that I could just like kind of like swoop in my face kind of look. Yeah.
I saw a couple photos of that.
Yeah.
And you've lost a ton of weight since then too.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Back in high school, I was like super thin, and then of course, college, post college, I think everybody's gains weight, and I've tried to get back down in that same range. But yeah, so I used to be like really like pencil thin in high school, and I had this like ridiculously like big head and like all this hair, and I was always like in like. Because I was like, I go work after school. I worked for like a local government office, so I always had to wear a tie. So I always was in my like bright pastel, like express button ups with ties. People would dress in the 2000s. So I literally just looked so ridiculous. Like pictures of that back then make me cringe. But yeah, it's pretty much as of late. This has been their
That's
style.
the move. Are you like? Where do you get your hair cut?
So I go to GQ Gentleman Quarters. It's a barber shop in West Columbia on State Street. Yeah. They are amazing. They do a great job. And the owner of GQ, Dom, I've been with him for years. Even when he was like back as just a barber at Circa.
Oh yeah.
I started going there, and then he ended up opening his own place, and it's now expanded. So he and his team do a great job. It's like right there on State Street, kind of across from Terra.
Oh yeah.
It's in one of the new like apartment buildings right there.
That's nice. I walked past it. They have like a pool table in there.
pool table. Yeah, it's really cool.
They have cocktails. It looks like a bar.
Yeah, most of the barbershops around will do that. I mean, I know some of the other ones do that too. But yeah, you can go and get a drink, hang out, play chess or pool. Yeah, I never take that much time. I'm just like in there, get a haircut, and get out. But yeah, they do a good job. So that's where I get haircut. Yeah,
A nice Bloody Mary while you're getting your tips frosted.
I wish they did that. I need to suggest that actually. So as much as I spend with them, I probably should be able to get that. I probably should get a Bloody Mary out of it. So yeah, they do a good job. I like them a lot.
So I have kind of an off the wall question.
Let's do it. I'm tired about work. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. Well,
I talk about work.
Get ready for this
This
one.
could be very off the wall.
So I have a family member who he's gay, and he thinks that there's a lot of closeted people that don't they basically haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
And so he'll roll his eyes, or whenever I'm with him, he'll be like, or the person will say like, yeah, my wife and he'll like roll his eyes. And he even thinks in the political world, there's a ton of that happening.
Yeah.
And I'll be just sitting somewhere with him and I'll be like, I don't see, and he'll like I'll see him roll his eyes and I'll be like, no way. And he's like, yep. And I'm like, I don't see, there's a whole world that I'm just completely oblivious to.
This is gonna be fun. Do you want me to speak to that?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's talk about
I've been wanting to ask
your
this
take on
question.
that?
Enough about the future of print media. Let's talk about people in the closet. So it's interesting. And it was a couple years ago, and I don't know the exact numbers, but there were basically surveys that people, surveyors would go around and they would ask everyone to identify their sexual orientation.
Yeah.
And when you did that, like 10% of people identified as LGBTQ plus, right? Like maybe it was even less than 10%. It was a couple years ago. I don't know the exact numbers.
Right.
But then the question went around of what percentage of the population would you say, based on your sphere, the people you know, would you say is LGBTQ plus? And it's LGBTQ plus, I talked too fast. And the number was more like 20%. So when you ask people straight on, the moral with war story is when you ask people straight on, you're going to get a lower number than if you ask people to like speak to those around them, right? What they think, what they assume, right? So I do think there's some of that. And trust me, I empathize with this because I, feel like I spent too long in the closet. Obviously, both our families being religious, going to a religious university, a lot of our weekends together, the first several years were volunteering at church together, right? And we still, believe that all, kind of ties together, and you can there's such a thing as, a gay Christian. Right. So there's a lot around that. But coming from someone who this has been too long in the closet, I empathize with this, right? And, kind of going through that wedding planning process was so interesting because I left it with a couple things. One is don't ever assume what people are going to think, right? People that I thought would have real issue with it have been the most supportive. Right. And then people, and no one's really been not supportive, but then people you thought maybe would rally around you fully maybe have supported within distance, right? Sure. So overall, it was no news, and everyone was just like, I feel like our friendships are stronger. I feel like our relationships are better. I feel like we are actually healthier as a couple. It's hard to be all in a relationship that you're trying to hide from other people, And so I think I totally understand this and empathize with this. I'm not going to sit here and shade anybody who is just not ready to come out. It's their own time frame. It's their own story. I do think there's some of that though. I definitely think there is. I think that society's come a long way. I think that, political forces at play, in full transparency, I think have, maybe not backslid us a little bit, but made it a little more of a challenge. But I do think that it is this in this space, things have changed a lot over, I would say, the last 10, 15 years. Right. And I mean, I think I've seen it. And so we've been very just grateful for the support that we've gotten from our families and for our friends and community. And, I have no problem saying this is my husband, introducing Michael as my husband, right? And so I think there is some of that, but also I think, yes, to you say this is your friend?
Yeah, family member, but he's older. So he went through the 80s, the 90s, real hard. He's like, now this is like a walk in the park.
Yeah. So
which I think is why he rolls his eyes too, like when someone's like pretending. He's like, all right.
Well, there is kind of this, I think sometimes this frustration people, if you're not in the closet, if you're out, there's just maybe a frustration people in the closet, like, who are you kidding? Like, why are you trying to front, basically? Right. And I kind of am a little more empathetic with that because it's just yes, they probably in most cases would be happier and more at peace if they were just true to themselves. But let them figure that out in their own time. Just love them through it. If you want the other side to support us when we're out of the closet, should we not support them when they're in the closet? Right. So I say that I do think there's such a thing as gaydar. I do think there's such a thing as a gaydar, and I think that gay people have it better mostly than straight people do. So I think there are some times. So let me say it. straight men have the worst gaydar, I think. Female ladies, or straight females, straight fat ladies have to have it under control too. I think they kind of know. So I think that there are going to be times where, person in our community is going to say that I have a feeling this person is, gay or bi or lesbian or whatever, and it'd be like a surprise. I think that's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
But I also think maybe it's a little bit overblown. Sometimes I think it's maybe like wishful thinking, like I wish they were. I wish they were in the market, But maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I think it's interesting because it's like, and again, this is such a hard topic to talk about, but like, I feel like there's this fine line between you wanting everyone's support and acceptance and like love, but also when they give that to you, not thinking it's them, like it's like not like it's flirtation, right? So I think there's this line there where you want to be accepted and loved and treated like
hang out with it.
Yeah. But then also like, okay, but then if like folks go in on this is really true with guys, I think.
Yeah.
But like, if a straight guy comes and like, like really wants to become really good friends, it's like, okay, well, is there
gives you like
not
a
necessarily,
butt tap.
no. Yeah. I mean, so it's just one of those things. It's
Like a good game.
I wasn't going to go there. Yeah.
Good game, Chase.
Yeah.
Have you ever got a
butt?
butt? Have you got a butt tap from a straight guy and been like, oh, that wasn't quite?
He gripped a little too much.
It wasn't all. It was cracked up to be. I'm just kidding. So no, it's just obviously hard. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. This is one of the situations that I feel like everyone's got their own story. I would. There's a lot I would do differently in my own story. I would not have waited so long to give my community a chance to support me.
When did you know? Like looking back?
Like all the way through high school, maybe middle school.
Middle school.
Yeah.
Like you start like celebrity crush was not a woman; it was a male.
Yeah.
Like, is that when you were?
Yes, always. Yeah.
Backstreet Boys.
So not really. No, there was a list of others more than them.
Who was the top?
They were always a little bit too old for me.
Who looking back was like your number one?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Do we have to go into this?
You don't have to. No, you don't have to. But I do really want to know.
Who they call this in such a way, they call this like the gay awakening. Who was your gay awakening? Like who was the first person like you saw
that's
like
a
celebrity
good phrase. I didn't know
that you kind of knew you were gay?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, mine was probably Ryan Felipe and whatever that movie he was in back in the day.
It was like Cruel Intentions.
Yeah.
Skulls or something.
I don't remember whatever it was. And then I can't remember the other guy's name. The guy who was Superman in Smallville and also was like the older brother in Cheaper by the Dozen. I think his name's Tom, right? Tom. I don't know. He's kind of a has-been now. He's kind of a has-been now, but yeah. Those were kind of the two, if you have to know.
I've always thought Randy was gay. Like when I first met him, and I still don't know. Like he might be one of those guys we're talking about, and
I'm just asking you these questions.
It's just the way his
incognito.
relatives trying to get him to come out right there, but yeah, it's not being very direct about it. I get that.
He rolls his eyes.
Tom Welling. That's his name. Tom Welling. Yeah, he was in Smallville, and she probably does a couple of things. Tom Welling's his name. Yes.
Do you find it hard to know, like so you said your gaydar is good, like with Canadians, that's always been a thing where
so specific.
You just don't know, like, are they Canadian or are they gay? Or are they both?
I've never heard that about Canadians. I will say it's harder to tell with Europeans. I've always heard that, like, are they gay or are they just European and we're not really sure? Yeah, I've always heard
like
that.
the Scandinavians especially.
Well, yeah, it's like they're more fashion forward in some cases. And I think that it's just, sometimes it's harder to tell. I don't really go around trying to decide who is gay, who's not. Like, I mean, it's just
troll with it.
I mean, it's just like, it
exhausting.
Change. And what is it?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah. To what end? Like, I just, whether or not they are or not, just like support them and love them. And then, if they are, then it's cool, but.
Well, I'm curious about this. Like in Colombia, have you noticed a shift? Like, is there a lot of acceptance around?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like what would change? Like, that's my point. Like, if somebody's like, oh, I'm gay or not, what changes?
Well, you're deathly afraid of what's going to change. I mean, especially if you're brought up through religion,
right.
Maybe your boss or company, more conservative in nature. Like, I mean, there's always different things, right? Mine was quite frankly, I don't mind. I'm totally fine being open and out with people in Columbia, but I was very nervous about my high school and college friends because for me, they could connect back to my parents. And it was all like keeping my parents in the dark, right?
Yeah, I guess
And so I think it kind of, you compartmentalize things a little bit, but I think that you kind of just have to support people and let them go through their own story. I don't pressure people to come out, but I will say on the flip side, I will say that, I actually appreciate some of the people who put me on the spot back in the day and said, are you and Michael together? One of the first people in Columbia who knew about Michael and me was Oddity, actually.
Really?
Because Michael and Oddity used to work together at a nonprofit. And, she looked Michael square in the face one night and was like, are you dating anyone? And Michael, kind of put Michael on the spot. And, of course, Michael doesn't do well under pressure. So he's just like, yes, here's my whole life story. And, but so she kind of forced her hand a little bit, and some people have done that, but it's been nice because then they turn around and support you, right? And so you, again, like I mentioned, I've learned not to assume what people are going to think, and also give people a chance to support you.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then there are many people out there who will be in your community who will.
Yeah.
So
What? Well, so you said females are usually better at knowing than males.
Yeah.
Especially because I generally just have no clue about a lot of things.
Yeah, you're like wide-eyed right now.
He tests the boundaries.
No, it's more because I've never asked. I've thought these questions before, but I've never actually asked somebody. So
your faces are so different now. Randy's clearly processing. He just wants to know more, and he's just trying to take it all in and just trying to process it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're like, okay, would it be a mannerism, or is it what they say, or is it they're just better dressed than everybody else?
No,
They can match their clothes.
It's like an energy.
I think it's like energy. I think mannerisms are part of it, maybe. Interest, music interest, pop culture interest, those kind of things. But again, I don't like to just use that as the end all be all, right? Yeah. Because I've known gay guys who played in the high school football teams, and I've known straight guys who
do gymnastics.
Want to go with me to the Ariana Grande concert, right? So it just kind of varies. So you really can't put it in too much of a bucket. And I feel like that's just kind of that's just obviously not the way it really works, right? You go back to when did I know this? But it's always when people say this is a choice. It's I never consciously made this choice, and that's okay. I'm really happy with who I am, and I'm so glad that this is my life. Yeah. But I don't ever consciously remember making a choice to go this route, which I could argue it makes life harder in some ways. Right. So it just it's hard to explain. I think mannerism is part of it, but part of it's just this energy, and just this connection that you might have or might not. But again, it's not perfect, and I feel like there are a lot of times people who are in that in the community are wishing other people in the community they may or may not be. Yeah,
I just whenever I look at the stats, it's gay men are the wealthiest, usually the fittest, have the lowest divorce rate. Yeah, you go through the list, it's crazy.
Very appealing for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, he's they all look really good. They're
too many questions. He's starting to get suspicious.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. There's so much psychology you can back around all this, right? And I'm not an expert. Yes, I'm gay, but I'm not at all the expert in what that means and why and so on and so forth. It's just not where I'm very, very. I can't speak to it very well, but I think that with gay men specifically, I think that there's sometimes this, or I think just people, in the closet in general, right? There is this kind of growing up this need to prove yourself and overachieve because you're trying to subconsciously offset this quote unquote bad thing about yourself or this thing that other people may not look favorably on, right? And so I think there's this kind of need to be the star student and get, be the top of your class in college or, whatever sports you're in, be the best at it, be the best looking, right? And be the best dressed. And so I don't think that's the case with everybody. I'm generalizing a lot. I hate doing that. But I do think there's sometimes that kind of mindset of overcompensating a little bit.
Right.
Because either you're conflicted about who you are or you're still figuring it out or you're worried that other people think about who you are.
Yep.
So I think that may be part of it in some cases.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
Is any of this offensive too? Like, we don't get this opportunity very often.
Yeah, just it's like I'm being like examined under a microscope.
Like, I don't,
It's like,
I don't want this to be the top. Like, I feel like it's the show.
It's like
And
I didn't know I was
so-
going to speak on behalf of the entire Columbia gay community. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of feedback about you didn't represent us well here.
Yeah, like
I
we
didn't
don't
know,
want to get
I didn't
you
know
in
as a
trouble,
spokesperson.
and we don't want to get in trouble. I guess if there's anything too that's like this is not comfortable.
No, I think it's fine.
Pull back.
No, I really don't mind. I mean, hopefully somebody listening to this can take something from this.
That's what I kind of I think there's not enough. Like, when do people get to talk about this just openly and have listeners just like we're just like, are we journalists? Like, would you consider? We're just investing.
You better
ask-
add that to your Instagram bio.
They ask a lot of questions, and you
putting
guys
it
are
on
asking a
there.
lot of good questions. So I think, and it's not just about being in the LGBTQ community. It could be really anything that like makes you different
Correct.
or
Yes.
stand out in not a
Yes.
great way. I mean, it really is a lot about just embracing what makes people unique, whether it's orientation or whatever
Yeah.
that looks like, right?
I think to like get people together, we have to break down ignorance, like just stuff that people don't know,
Yeah.
and how to act or what questions to ask or what to say or what and know that if somebody says something wrong or that does come off offensive, like, was it intentional or was it like they just didn't know that they shouldn't say that or ask that question?
I think
for us.
it depends on the situation. I think that yes, there have definitely been times people say things to me, they probably put their foot in their mouth, but like
Right.
I kind of laugh it off. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and nothing really offensive, just things probably that are either stupid questions or really just things you probably wouldn't ask a straight
Yeah.
person. But I don't. It takes a lot to really offend me, as I mentioned. I kind of laugh a bit off. I think that it is worth it's worth talking about. There's a lot to it. I think that to your point, I think Columbia is a very accepting place.
Yeah.
I think being gay has made me less really has made me less judgmental because
Yeah.
I try to look for the good in people, right?
Yeah.
Now, as most gay men do, I love to talk shit. I love to throw a little bit of shade, and talk a little bit, of course, in kind of a fun, kind of just an entertainment way. But in all seriousness, I want to be more accepting of other people because I want them to be accepting of me, just by
Right.
what their religious views
Yes.
are, or their backgrounds, or so on and so forth. And I think Columbia is really a good place for that. I think that obviously, I think there's still issues in school, like high school, middle school. I think as
Yeah.
people mature, I think there's always going to be that issue a little bit of bullying or looking differently at somebody because they're different than you. But I think as you get into adulthood, I mean,
Right.
I think it's just people are really kind of judging less, I would say, in some
Right.
ways, truly. I mean, not everybody would agree, but I feel like mostly people are more accepting and tolerant in this space, at least, I would say. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think I just think it's important, just genuine curiosity about what makes people different and how, what their lifestyle's like and all that stuff is just I'm always interested. That's the stuff I like listening to.
Yeah.
Is you just never get that perspective unless somebody's open to talk about real life.
Yep.
What that's like.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing 70% of this podcast on the gay community for us. And our
I
listeners.
To my
appreciate
friends
it
out
too.
there, I hope I represented us well.
All right, I have another off the wall one.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
If you had to say if we landed on the moon or not,
Oh,
where do you fall?
with your
This is
investigation.
actually the hardest question for me to answer that you've asked so far, which is crazy.
Wow.
I want to say I don't think we did, but also in that moment. But I also don't want people think I'm a conspiracy theorist because I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. But I think in that situation, I actually don't know that we did in that moment.
Yeah.
I think that's actually becoming the consensus.
Yeah.
What's the tough part is so say that's true, which I believe is true, what you said there. Why did they, the amount of carrying on and lying and that's the scarier part
Yeah.
of what was the point of all that?
Well, I mean, you were in a race with the Soviet Union, right?
Yeah,
Soviet Union, to get there first because it was basically it was an achievement to show, the strength of your, space, exploration and just, your technology and just your strength as a country. And so I think it was a lot of national pride would come to whoever got that first, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was why it was a race.
Yep. And they haven't admitted anything yet, really.
No.
They're still
I think
saying
they
that
will
they
at some
called
point.
from the moon to a landline at the White House.
Okay.
There's a lot.
doesn't make
You
sense
just
to
don't
me.
want to even look into it because it's like
Yeah,
it just
don't
gets
start that.
crazy.
Yeah, I
does
I
get
think
crazy.
that there's a lot that happens that, obviously the general public doesn't know and probably doesn't,
Yeah.
well, everybody doesn't need to know, for like
Right.
a sanity standpoint, peace of mind standpoint, but for sure.
Kim Kardashian just came out with it. Randy's a big Kim Kardashian fan, and
Love that.
she now says that we
no,
did
I'm
not
not.
land on the moon. So
I did. Yeah, Tom sends me that stuff. All right, that sets up my last big question.
Yeah.
What else is something that is either controversial or you believe it, but lots of people don't?
Oh my gosh. I feel like some of these things I'm going to regret saying on this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
No, something I believe that's controversial. So I'm a big history person. I'm a big history person. Not 70s, 80s, 60s. Not the
Okay.
20th century.
You're going
Early
deep.
20th century or like 19th century, 18th century.
Like Genghis Khan.
Not quite that far back. Not quite that far back. But like,
Rockefellers.
the Revolutionary War days,
Mm-hmm.
the European history fan, the Napoleonic War days and the French Revolution, the Victorian era, that kind of stuff. So I really am a big history person. I actually used to do historical reenactments when I was in school.
No way.
Yeah, I told you guys I was cool. I told you guys I was cool.
The Renaissance Fair is this month.
It wasn't that I didn't go quite that
Oh,
far
you didn't
back.
go to the
Yeah,
Renaissance
it actually
Fair?
was like fighting battles versus just like dancing around.
Like LARPing? Were you a LARPer?
I don't know what that term means.
Live
action.
action role
Oh,
player.
yes. Yeah, but we didn't really call it that. We actually didn't call it that, but yeah. I mean, I would go out there and camp for like a weekend and like, yeah.
And you would hit people with a wood sword.
No, it was like guns. It was like,
It's like scripted.
like
Yours was
yeah.
scripted.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
so like we would like shoot basically like use our like muskets from like the 19th century and like shoot like blanks. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, I was definitely not the coolest kid in high school, and middle school. But I say that to say that the thing that I feel pretty strongly about, just based on the research I've done, that's not publicly accepted, is that Lincoln's assassination was an inside job.
Whoa.
That.
I know.
I agree.
There's some really good
books.
books about it. That's like the one like that's like the one like national conspiracy
Yeah.
that I actually think
JFK,
has some
I mean-
pretty bulletproof historical evidence.
Yeah.
Just based on the research I've done. Yeah,
Interesting. Lincoln.
Lincoln's. Yeah,
But JFK.
I don't know about JFK. I'm not researched enough to make a decision on
Yeah,
that.
but
Yeah.
Lincoln
The
you
only reason
feel
I
good
actually
about.
am willing to go on a podcast and say that about Lincoln is because I've done a lot of homework on that
You've looked
front.
at that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a hot take.
I
we need to
think-
do a poll on that and find out.
Yes,
We'll put that up.
Put it on
We'll put
Instagram.
that
Do you
up.
think Lincoln's assassination was an inside job?
It might be less controversial than you know,
It
or
just
more.
didn't have this stuff.
People talk about JFK a lot. I think like I'm not sure how many people like question the Lincoln piece.
I agree.
Yeah.
the hot thing in conspiracy world right now is Holocaust.
What about it?
That 6 million people didn't die. It was
That's- I
like
think that's
200,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't maybe I didn't make exact number on it. That's really
And there weren't gas chambers like that. That would have been too expensive. Like there's a ton of like my feed's getting hammered.
your
'Cause I
feed's different. Mine's not.
love all.
Yes,
I
I stay
love
out of that too.
conspiracy.
I have hockey
My,
fights.
my
and
algorithm
golf.
is like the conspiracy in my algorithm is Dancing with the Stars rigged because how is Andy still on the show? that's my controversy and my conspiracy theories on my TikTok page.
Okay. What programs are you watching at night? Like Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, I love Dancing with the Stars. My favorite show.
You a big Bravo guy?
Not really. No.
Really?
No. I'll do like some of the contests, like reality shows. I'm not really into like Mormon wives and all that kind of stuff. I do like it when I get into it. I just don't engage. Like I'm not
Yeah.
a big TV person in the first place.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching TV, it's usually like, at home. It's not more background noise. I'm like working or doing something else.
Yeah.
But shows I'm kind of in right now that I really love, of course. The Morning Show on Apple TV is my favorite show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. It is. It's about a national TV broadcast company. It was kind of born out of the like the Me Too, like Matt Lauer, all that kind of stuff is where it kind of was born out of. But then it turned more into like the true like situations that national media really deal with. And so it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good show. I really love it. It has a new season that's coming out. That's going, that's dropping every week now. Old Horses on Apple TV.
Old
Watch
Horses?
Michael's more watching that. I'm just kind of like watching at it, versus really engaging. I'm trying to think what else we've really watched lately. The new season of The Diplomat on Netflix.
Yeah.
They dropped a new season of The Diplomat. All those like political thrillers. I love all that kind of stuff.
House of Cards.
You know what's so crazy is everyone tells me I would love House of Cards, but I never really watched it. I know I would like it. Michael was obsessed with it. I just never really got into it too much because I really don't binge watch a lot of shows. The craziest thing about me is that I've never watched The Office.
What?
That's
what
everybody thinks is crazy.
That it is because it was 3 years ago, maybe 4.
At least.
I didn't watch it like ever, and then I was just like, all right, I gotta just commit to this, and it's worth it. And everybody's like, man, I wish I could go back and watch it for the first time. It was dynamite.
So Tom came in one day to the office, and he's like, I started watching The Office, and am I Michael Scott?
I might be Michael Scott.
And everybo's like started telling
Then
him,
we
like,
kind of like
yes.
named everybody. Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
So do you know the showrunners of The Office have come out with kind of a spinoff called The Paper, which is
really?
about a small community newsroom. It's about a newsroom that does a newspaper. It's in its first season, I think. Now
Nice.
I've been watching it. It's pretty good. It's not what I think The Office was ever, but it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yep. All right, I got 2 quick. Give me your thoughts on Taylor Swift album, the new one. Where are you at with it?
I really like it a lot.
Are you just saying that because you're a Swiftie, or this is objective?
Yes, no, I can tell you Taylor Swift songs I don't like. Okay. No one's perfect. She's pretty dang close, but she's not there. I do like it a lot. I think it was a little overhyped / mismarketed.
Yeah.
She
There's
described
no
it.
bangers, I don't think.
You just keep listening to it.
Okay.
Fate of Ophelia was the one I thought I actually would really ever listen to again. And then you get through it and you're like, okay, actually, no, I like this one, I like that one. And that's how I feel like a lot of Taylor Swift's music is now. Is you
have to really listen to the
You have
words.
to digest it, yeah. But
And I don't do that.
she herself described it as the pop bangers of 1989 with the
Right.
lyrics of folklore. Well, those are my 2 favorite albums.
Yeah.
And for very different reasons.
Yeah.
And so I think I just had such high expectations going into it because those are albums I love every single song on both those albums.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the bops are quite as good as 1989, and I don't think the lyrics are quite as good as folklore, but I think it's where she is in life. I
Yeah.
think, can we just let the girl be happy for a little while? I mean, she's done enough heartbreak albums over the years.
Right.
Like you got that out with Tortured Poets Department. Can we just let her be happy? Can we just have some fun music coming from her for a while?
Yeah.
I will tell you what's interesting is
This might be controversial or not. I have no clue what you're talking. But what you're saying might
that's
be.
that's the most controversial thing you said all day.
I have to ask Tom's wife if any of that's true or not.
What is your wife's a big fan? What's her favorite
Yeah.
album?
If you say it, I would probably. I don't even know what are the options.
I can't go through all. I can't go
not-
through all 12.
I should.
It's probably
know
it's probably Reputation.
I feel like I would know that.
A husband should
what's
know his
another one?
wife's favorite Taylor Swift album.
Reputation or Red, maybe Midnight's Torture Poets Department.
I don't think
Those are probably some of the more popular ones,
really.
I'd say, yeah.
There's got to be. Is there
Does
one
she have
more
20
that's-
albums?
1989 is pretty good. I mean, it's not my
She
favorite.
loves '89 because she was born then, but
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't know if that's it.
I don't know. I'd be
God,
curious.
she's gonna be pissed. She's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, you really should
now,
know this
Chase.
about. You should know this
Yeah.
about her.
Damn it.
Yeah.
But I know that at first when she listened to this new album, she was like, I don't know. And then the more she listened to it, she liked it.
Yeah.
I don't listen to words. Like, so what I realize when I have music on, I can't hear the words. Like I'm more the whatever the other stuff is, melody, harmony, or the beats, all that shit. And then the words, like if they're catchy, I'll remember some of those. So that's what's hard when people like music and it's the words that like it's like, oh, that was a good message. I never hear that. And I don't know how to hear that.
Yeah.
So
No,
anyways.
absolutely. And what's interesting is when we went and saw her in Paris, we did not know at that time she was going to drop Torture Poets Department album right before that. So we actually were the show that she performed Torture Poets at in the Eras Tour live for the first time ever.
Yeah.
So we were the first people to ever get to see that set list. And we didn't know that one about the tickets. It was like, that was amazing. So it just happened to work out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Best of Columbia, I wanted to at least touch on this.
Yeah.
When did that start, one?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then how did, it feels like, so I'm from Pennsylvania, I came here in 2010, but it has been the premier, like best of all the best ofs.
Yeah.
It's the only one that seems like people care about. If that make like, and how did you guys do that or achieve that? Or I don't know if you were a part of any of that journey.
Yeah, I think that all the different best stuff contests serve a different purpose. I really think the Columbia Metropolitan Magazine group, they're close friends and they do a great job with theirs. Theirs just going to tailor to a different type of businesses than ours does. It's just a different kind of recognition. So I think they complement each other well. Ours obviously has kind of the vibe of being the most fun, the most upbeat, the most like arts, food, entertainment focused, more pop culture focused, I guess. Free Times was founded in 1987, so we're almost 40 years old. And I think Best Stuff started shortly after that. It's definitely the longest running Best Stuff contest in Columbia for sure. And most newspapers were not doing it back then. So I would say it's probably, have been around for 30 years, I would say. Maybe going on 30 years, 25 years maybe, somewhere around there. We definitely were doing it. I feel like I've seen the results back to the late 90s maybe. So I feel like it's got to be at least, what is that? At least almost 30 years.
30 years.
And so obviously the party has evolved over time.
Right.
This year's the first year where we produced a magazine that we're actually delivering out starting this week with plaques and things. We're starting to do that, to have like a really nice coffee table piece for people to keep year round, to have all the results in it. So I kind of have that. We're distributing that this week. We just got them earlier this week in the office. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. For us, that's such a fun thing to do, right? It's a great chance to really celebrate what great local businesses we have in Columbia, and it's fun competition. We love hosting that. It's just a really cool honor to be able to do that. The party, I'm fairly involved in the party. We always try to be as creative as we can.
A lot of work. It's
a lot of work. People don't realize how complex it is with the theme changes every year. So the whole party changes every year. You don't ever get to, if people do event planning will tell you, it gets easier when you start doing the same thing a couple times.
Right.
Best of Columbia is never the same.
Yeah.
Because every activation is different every year based on the theme.
Right.
And so it is always a lot of moving pieces, but it's such a fun event to produce. I think there's really nothing like it in Columbia. It's been a tough week for the Free Times staff. Just if you look at the cover this week of the Free Times, one of our original staff members, Lisa Willis, who had been with our company almost 31 years, just passed away last week after a battle with cancer, brain cancer. Yeah. And so she was the third person on staff with the Free Times and had been with us, of our 37-year history. She was with us for 31 of those years. Yeah. So we actually are, all the Free Time staff and all the former Free Time staff, the alumni are all getting together like for Memorial Happy Hour tonight to celebrate her. She was I say that just to say she was so crucial and she was a core part of Best of Columbia. She was really managing the ballot online, make sure all the businesses were on there correctly. She was designing all the cool banners we would do at the events and signage and stuff. That was all her brilliant creative work. And so, it's going to be tough doing this, I think, without her next year. So she was a very integral part of the Best of Columbia. And I think part of the reason it's such a big success.
Yeah. We never got our little, you guys normally hand out those papers at the event. Didn't do it this year.
We did not do it this year because
do they
exist?
It was
a mess. Yes, they do exist, and they're getting mailed out this year with the window clings and stuff. Yeah, if you have if you upgraded to a plaque and stuff, all of that's gonna be delivered out, magazines, all that kind of stuff. So it's all being mailed or hand delivered.
Sweet.
Versus us trying to get them out of the event because basically no one wanted to carry them around all night.
Yeah.
And we try to do this thing where you could get your certificate just for a moment, take a picture, and then put it back, but it was just cumbersome. Yeah. We just had to kind of accept this is, it's not an award show, it's a party.
Yeah.
But let's just let everybody have a good time and we'll give them their recognition later.
Yeah. So last year I browned out at the party, lost my hat. I was under control this year, but something in the drinks was.
How many years you guys been going to the party? What did you say?
We've won it. We've won Best Chiropractor the last 2 years and Best Podcast the last. Or no, this year we won Best Chiropractor.
Yeah.
3 years ago we won Best Chiropractor, and then we've won the podcast 2 years in a row now. So 3 years. 3 years we've been going.
You've been to a couple of the parties.
Yeah.
Which theme did you like the best, or which one do you think was the best done?
I didn't understand the pop star one, maybe, or
the rock star, pop star culture, kind of pop culture.
I was Bruce Spring. I tried to do Bruce. I mean, it ended up good.
The
Cowboy one was dynamite.
I loved that pop culture one. It was just every version of Britney Spears everywhere.
I loved in that one. My good friend Madison share the same last name. We always say we're like long lost siblings. She came as Rihanna in her Super Bowl outfit,
pregnant.
and it was her way kind of like announcing she was expecting.
Yeah.
So it was the most amazing thing. Her outfit was
was.
perfect. That was pretty cool.
Shit, do you guys do like best costume or any of that?
We never really done that. No, I just
Okay.
I appreciate a good costume. We never really done like a costume contest. Here we did it for our Halloween party a couple times. Did you guys like it better at the State Museum this year or the Art Museum last year?
I like the art museum.
Art museum.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've always been curious how many votes the biggest category gets. What category would be the biggest? And then is it 500 votes to win, 1,000 votes to win?
Yeah, it varies very much off of the category. Some categories you need 200 votes to win.
Yeah.
You know, the bigger ones you've got to be in the thousands to be in
Really?
the top. Yeah, and that's a lot of your food and dining categories.
Restaurants,
Your restaurants, and some of your services. You know, the services have gotten very competitive. Best
Yeah.
dentist, the legal categories,
Yeah,
real estate.
I feel like chiropractor is pretty got to be up there.
The restaurant categories, the food and beverage categories, they're the ones who get the most like what we call passerby voting. You know, people are not going to vote for a specific person. They're just clicking on people they like just to vote. You know, those categories, everybody has to think about food, right? So food and drinks, that's what gets the most votes because it just gets a lot of like kind of casual voting. Whereas the services, it's mostly you telling your chiropractic clients go vote for us, and they're going on there and voting. It really becomes a contest of who can push their base to go vote the most, and then who can get the extra votes on top of that.
Yep.
Love that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah,
It's been so fun.
It's not been too boring.
No, great. Anything you want to promote or tell people about or any like?
Yeah. How can they support you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we've
Follow
kinda
you
covered it.
personally?
Yeah, you can definitely follow me personally. I always, I think one thing that I'm very like passionate about is people really falling in love with Columbia as a city. I recognize that it's hard. If you get past college, the problem with the university students is they don't really get to see Columbia fully as a city, right? They don't get to see I think some of the cool parts of Columbia outside the university. But then people who move here for work or grad school or whatnot, it's really hard at that point to meet people. And every city says that, not just Columbia. Every city. I mean, I have a friend in New York who says it's hard to meet people in New York. I had a friend yesterday in Charlotte. It's like I can't meet people in Charlotte. Okay, well, it's not the size of the city. So I'm just a big believer, just like getting involved in something to try to build a relationship here. I think Columbia is a much easier city to really call home if you have some type of connection, some relationships. And so there's a lot of great things to do here. It's a great place to be and live. So anyone who's like struggling to, make connections or get involved somewhere, I'm happy to chat
Send
with
you a
them.
DM.
See me a DM.
Maybe
I'm
do a
happy to.
coffee with Chase.
I'll be happy to do that. Yeah, I would love that for sure. There's lots of good organizations.
Oh boy, I have tons of
Coffee date with Chase. We're
blowing up your DMs for
I'll
coffee dates.
I'll just stick Ashley Elsie on them. She'll make them fall in love with Columbia.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
Appreciate
guys
it.
so much. Appreciate it.
We're here for the health of it.
For the health of it.
Just a quick note, this podcast is for informational purposes only. We're not meant to replace your doctors, and nothing here should be taken as medical advice. Always check with a qualified professional before making decisions about your health. The views and opinions expressed by our guests or hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of this podcast. Reliance on any information provided is solely at your own risk.